Hi, my name is TERESA Whitehead. I am here with Robert Holm today to talk about some of his journey in discovering his family history. Robert is from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, but he was born in Belgium. He has been researching his genealogy for quite a while. He has an MBA from Beulah Heights University in Atlanta, Georgia, and then came to America in 2017. He has continued to research his family while he has been here, and is going to talk to us today a little bit about what that journey has been like. So, Robert, tell me why you decided to take a DNA test in the first place.
Okay, thank you for asking me the question. The reason I was able to proceed and take the DNA test is because previously I was able to perform research back home and found out about my ancestors. And coming here in America, I was able to discover that there was a new technology, especially about 23andMe, how I could be able to share about my DNA test and found out exactly about my origins. So this is how I was able to perform that based on the information I got.
And what was the process like for you to take that test?
Okay, the process was just going online and be able to fill up the form and be able to make payment for sure, but receive all the equipment. And the equipment I received, it was, I had to spit in it. And after doing this, I had to send it back. And I sent them back, and they told me that in 2 weeks' time, you'll be able to receive the result, telling you exactly about where your origins. And I was really anxious. I didn't know what to expect. But by the way, I sent it back. So this is what I was able to wait for the 2 weeks. And in the meantime, I was able to receive a phone call from the same organization telling me that, asking me if I was African. And I was wondering why this question. And you know, the first time I was not so sure about this process.
About these DNA tests?
Yes, I was wondering, is it true? Is it going to make me know about my origins? And finally they asked me, Robert, are you African? I said, yes. And as soon as they told me that, I realized that, hey, they were telling me something that I've never shared with them. Because when I fill up the form, I mentioned Robert Holm. I didn't mention an African name. So that was the point that made me.
You knew this was real, and
that
that they knew what they were talking about.
They knew what they were talking about.
So what did you find about your ancestry from your DNA test?
After 2 weeks' time, they sent me a summary telling me exactly that you are 90% Congolese, and specifying the region of Africa, telling me about Congo, especially Democratic Republic of Congo, and all the other part of Africa. They specify about Angola, and they specify about Ghana and Nigeria. And Ghana was a part that I had connection with, not another part of Africa. And I was able to find out that it was not only Ghana, but it was also another percentage. It was 2% connecting me to north of Europe. And this is where I realized that, oh, by the way, all the other part was confirmed. So this is basically what the DNA test.
So it wasn't a surprise to you. The DNA test pretty much told you what you were expecting it to tell you.
It told me what I was expecting.
Okay. Was that emotional for you?
It was emotional in the way, you know, when you do your DNA test, you want all the family to know exactly, because I have siblings. And, this is a test that I did, but previously I had another DNA test. And the other one was back home. But it was just about confirming if I was the son of my father.
It was more a paternity test than a
That's right.
full-fledged DNA test.
And this test was something that I took back home, and I was able to discover or to confirm that my dad was really my real dad, but it was something emotional because I had my birth certificate before that. And this birth certificate was confirming, telling me about my parents. But I was not so comfortable doing a DNA test to confirm about my father. So that was the most emotional time concerning my first DNA test. So this is the thing. And finally, I was able to, for my first DNA test, I was wondering if this test come negative and is no matching that I was the son of my father, it would be difficult for me to continue bearing the name, carrying the name. So that was something that I was able to finally wait for the result and get finally the confirmation that I was the son of my father.
The paternity test brought the piece and the answers maybe you're looking for.
That's right.
And then this 23andMe test was more to learn more about your family.
That's right.
Great. How did you use those DNA results to connect with relatives?
Okay, now the reason I can say, when they tell you, they send you this book, once you do the DNA test, the 23andMe, they send me this, and they tell me exactly the different type of culture. They tell you this is the country you are from or you are connected to, and it helps me know exactly what type of population, how who they are. Because in Ghana, when I see them, they have the culture. But those relatives that I've never met, I know that this is how I have to deal with them. I know I have to speak to them this way, because we are in America and we find all type of population here. And I can tell you, every time I come across someone who's from Ghana, I ask him, tell me about the population there. What are the languages? Before I came across those relatives. So this is basically what I do. And if I come across a Dutch, I ask him, tell me, how's life there before I get there? Because you can come across those people here in America. And Congolese people, I grew up in a Congolese culture, I know already. So basically, he's preparing me to come across those relatives.
So I think I hear you saying, even if you didn't meet specific relatives from this, it's helped you feel a connection to those countries and those cultures, and you're probably more curious about them than you would have been before.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
You are very curious. You just feel, if you have a feeling like, oh, I am connected to them. I have to go to them. And anytime I come across them, I don't keep quiet. I have to talk to them.
You just care. You want to know.
I just care. I just want to know exactly. And no matter what, I change my view about people of those countries. And this is something that it made me feel really that we are connected. Our DNA test is really connecting us with other part of the world.
Tell me about some of the medical aspect to your 23andMe test. Did you learn about health risks or anything like that?
Okay, so from what I know is they can tell you, for example, there are some informations or some characters that we get from the father. and only the father can provide this type of information. And there are other informations or from characters that you can get from the mother side. And on my father's side, I know that you have like when you feel anxious when you are hungry, and some people get angry, and some people they love school, and they get focused, so focused in school, and they want to study, and so you have some type of DNA, I mean informations that you can feel that you are getting from your father, that you can trace it.
We are here with Robert Holm talking about his DNA test, and there are a few fun and interesting facts that come up in this. Robert, can you tell us some of the things you learned that maybe you weren't expecting to come from a DNA test?
Oh yes, actually, when you see here, there are some traits of your relatives, and for example, there is something says he mentioned like 53% less likely to own a cat. I tell you, I've been really not so a good man to keep a cat.
You don't have a cat. Yeah.
I don't. And
so they're comparing you to the average DNA customer, and from your traits, they're telling you there are these things that they can predict.
Yeah. So this is something I understand, that some traits I can be more likely to identify notes, like you say, 53%.
539% more likely.
More likely, yes.
To have perfect pitch.
To have perfect pitch.
Yeah.
So I know when the music plays and there is a note, I can immediately know exactly what is the song, what is exactly the note. And this is something that the DNA test, this test was able to reveal.
28% more likely to be able to do a cartwheel, I see. I won't ask you to show us a cartwheel.
Okay.
Can I ask you about some of these pictures that you've brought?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There are some really fun ones here. I understand this is you.
Yes.
As a baby.
As a baby.
That's an adorable picture. And who is this?
This is my mom, my mother. She was the one who she helped me understand many things as a big sister, and after that I will discover that she was my mom.
You grew up thinking she was your big sister, and then found out that she was your mother. Great. And how about this?
Okay, this is my dad. This is my dad.
Tell me about your dad.
Okay, this is my dad. I didn't know about my dad up to the time I was 15 years old. And I was able to discover that. And he is going to be someone, you know, when he grew up, he had his name, and his name was basically on my birth certificate. And later on, because of the government, is going to change the name and get a Congolese name. So that is something that he was born in Congo, but the situation is not like in America, where anyone can bear like a different name from American culture. But here is the thing: he was forced because of the government decision to change ID, his ID, and this is how I was able to discover about
that. You talked earlier about taking a paternity test. That explains why. Yeah, you were finding out that he was really your father.
He was my father. So this is how finally I will be able to do what my research and found out exactly about all the relatives.
No wonder you've been so curious about your family history. That's a big thing to learn when you're 15.
Yeah.
And tell me who these people are.
Oh, this is my grandfather and my grandmother. So those are the people, my parents basically.
You grew up believing they were your parents,
That's
right? Yes.
So they are the one who took me as a baby from Belgium. I was born in Belgium. They took me to Kenya in Africa, and I was growing up around them. And up to the time I'm going to discover that they were not my dad, and they were my grandparents.
That had to be an interesting conversation to have.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Who was it that told you about your parentage?
My mother, my grandmother.
Your grandmother, who you thought was your mother.
She
Yes.
disclosed everything one day when they received visitors. They received visitors. They explained to them that they came for me, and I was able to find out that they were like, they told me everything, and I realized that, oh, my family, on my father's side, were around.
Uh-huh.
And I knew finally that they were the one who every time was trying to reach out to me. But anyway, I was able to discover everything.
Who is this?
This is my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather.
Okay.
His name is Joseph Raymond Bajoko. Mm-hmm. And Bajoko was basically someone who helped the Belgian authorities to control Congo. So he has a lot to tell.
And this?
This is Aziza Membweni. Aziza was a beautiful, pretty girl, pretty lady. And
She's your grandmother?
she's my great-great-grandmother.
Okay.
And she was someone who was kidnapped.
She was kidnapped.
Yes.
Okay.
She was coming, first of all, the first husband was a military,
Uh-huh.
and they were coming to the capital city because she was so pretty, and she was kidnapped by a lady. She was kidnapped by a lady, and they made her disappear. And her husband was looking out for her.
Uh-huh.
She never found her.
Oh, goodness.
And finally, she's going to talk to the lady. Mm-hmm. The lady was the wife of the governor,
Okay.
and explained.
The governor's wife had kidnapped her.
That's
Okay.
right. So that was a story that made you see that beautiful girl can make people in trouble.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your family stories with us, Robert.
Thank you. You're welcome.
We've been talking with Robert Holm today about his experience learning about his family through 23andMe and a DNA test. I am the host today, TERESA Whitehead, and thank you for joining us.